$72,000. That's the average income in Las Vegas, a salary that would allow many residents in other US states to live like kings. However, the paradox is that the very people who live and work here are finding it harder than ever to live. From waiters and taxi drivers to the workers who keep this massive entertainment machine running, they seem to be getting pushed to the margins as the cost of living soars faster than a lucky night at the casino. A typical dinner can easily cost several $100s. Rent is unaffordable, while hidden fees like resort fees or convenience fees quietly eat away at the wallets of tourists and local residents alike. Behind the dazzling lights of Vegas lies a dark secret. The city is no longer built to serve dreams, but to squeeze every penny from the pockets of those who wander into it. In today's video, we'll unravel the most terrifying secret behind the glitz and glamour of Sin City. A city designed to make you believe you're winning big, while in reality, you're losing more than ever. There was a time when Las Vegas was promoted as the land of sunshine, a place with no state income tax, affordable housing, and abundant opportunities. For many families, Vegas is like a golden ticket to touch the American dream. After just a few trips, thousands of people have decided to bring their suitcases here to start a new life. They believe this place will give them a suburban home with a green lawn, a car in the garage, properly educated children, and summers filled with memories. However, instead of dreams, many people are faced with bills longer than a prescription, and with that, their faith is gradually shattered. According to data from Zillow, the rent for a typical apartment in the US has increased by nearly 29% since April 2020. In Las Vegas, the situation is even more dire. Housing costs are exceeding the monthly incomes of many households. A 3-bedroom house that sold for just $118,000 in 2012 has now reached $485,000, a 300% increase in just over a decade. With an average mortgage rate of around 7%, a home at this price point would mean a monthly payment of nearly $2,870, not including taxes and insurance. When you add in HOA fees, property taxes, and insurance, the number often exceeds $3,200 per month. Meanwhile, the average personal income in Vegas is only around $3,400. In other words, the majority of a person's salary was consumed just to keep a roof over their head. The cost of housing and the hourly wage here are only separated by 20 McDonald's sandwiches. In fact, only 1/3 of households in southern Nevada can currently afford to buy a home at market price. This means that if 2/3 of households had to buy back the very homes they are living in at today's prices, they would no longer be able to afford them. To afford it, a household needs an annual income of over $115,000, a figure far exceeding the median income of only about $72,000 in Vegas. This gap makes the dream of home ownership a privilege for the upper class and an unattainable burden for the majority of workers. The cause stems from out-of-state investors, particularly from California, who are overwhelmingly paying cash tens of thousands of dollars higher than the asking price. Local families were left behind, unable to compete in the auctions. When real estate is transformed into an investment tool, the familiar consequences occur again. Rents are driven up, services are cut, and residents inadvertently become golden geese in the eyes of owners. Of course, tenants are not immune to that cycle either. A basic 2-bedroom apartment that cost $1,200 a few years ago now costs $2,000 or more. This means that half of the rental households in Nevada are now considered cost-burdened, meaning they have to spend over 35% of their income just to pay rent. Meanwhile, supply remains severely lacking. According to state estimates, Las Vegas needs an additional 7,000 apartments each year just to meet demand, but the current construction rate is far from achieving that. America used to proudly say, as long as you work hard, you'll have a roof over your head. But in Vegas, hard work is often only enough to pay for a bed or even a tarp on the street. The American dream, once built with bricks, cement, and faith, now resembles a roulette wheel. Those who survive live, and those who fall will have to sleep on the streets. A city where even those who serve tourists cannot afford to live near their work. How long can that be sustainable? And if the American dream in Las Vegas has shattered, Is there another place that can keep it alive for future generations? Summer in Las Vegas is like a sentence of survival. When outdoor temperatures can reach 115 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, humans have no choice but to rely on air conditioning to survive. But the paradox lies in this. Instead of using modern technology to survive the harsh summer, many families, especially the elderly and retirees, are forced to ration their air conditioning use. The reason is simple. Their electricity bills have ballooned to the point where they could explode their wallets at any moment. The average household in Nevada consumes about 1,500 kWh per month in the summer, nearly double the statewide average of about 877 kWh. Air conditioning runs 24/7 to combat the extreme heat, causing electricity bills to skyrocket. $180 to $250 for small homes, $250 to $400 or more for large homes. Some households reported costs of up to $681 in the hottest month. On average, just surviving the summer cost residents an extra $100 per month compared to normal times. Behind those numbers are countless causes that cannot be easily resolved. Thousands of old homes in Vegas have poor insulation and leaky ductwork, forcing air conditioners to work harder. The time of use, TOU, electricity pricing system, applies higher rates during peak hours, meaning just a few hours of air conditioning can significantly increase your bill. Additionally, surcharges, maintenance, energy taxes, service fees quietly accumulate, turning the bill into a lengthy indictment. The problem in Las Vegas is even more serious because all daily life depends on electricity. Not just air conditioning, but also cooking stoves, hot water, and even the ventilation system consume extra kilowatts. In hot weather, there's almost no way to save money except by enduring it. For many households, electricity bills in the summer are not only double but triple compared to the rest of the year. Some households are threatened with disconnection for not paying on time, even though the city issued a temporary moratorium when temperatures exceeded 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And as always, the people who suffer the most are the elderly and low-income households. Faced with the harsh choice between paying bills and buying food, many families are accepting living frugally with electricity by only turning on the air conditioner for a few hours each day and enduring the stifling heat for the rest of the time. For them, each summer month is like a life or death gamble. Life in Las Vegas, therefore, is not just the desert dream full of light and glamour as advertised. It's a silent battle with electricity bills, a battle where losing means you can't survive the scorching desert heat. In this place, electricity is not a normal living expense, but a survival bill. Is it fair that surviving the extreme heat has become a privilege for those who can afford the bills? And if the heat gets more intense each year, can Las Vegas still survive as a livable city? Or will it become just a brutal game that residents can never win? People often say the desert is harsh, but it has never made humans as afraid as it does today. From above, the white stripes etched into the cliffs surrounding Lake Mead are like a silent warning. The water level is receding, and with it, the survival of the entire city is also wavering. It's not a natural landscape, but the traces of decades of decline etched deep by sun, wind, and time. According to data from the US Bureau of Reclamation, in 2022, Lake Mead reached its lowest water level since it was built in the 1930s. The water that once sustained tens of millions of people across 7 western states, including Nevada, now seems uncertain. Notably, while the population of the Las Vegas area increased by over 500,000 people in just 2 decades, the city has had to learn to conserve every drop of water, from limiting lawn planting to removing fountains that were once symbols of luxury. The cause doesn't lie in a single event. The Colorado River, the lifeblood of the entire region, is under immense pressure from prolonged drought and climate change. The amount of snowmelt from the Rocky Mountains, which is the primary source, has decreased, leaving reservoirs unreplenished as before. Many experts warn that this is not just a dry year, but a long-term shift in the climate cycle. What makes residents uneasy is not just daily life, but also the value of their property. Who would want to invest in a house, a resort, or even a city when the biggest question hanging over their heads is, Will there be water there to survive in the next few decades? That worry grew day by day, casting a shadow over the real estate market, which was already reeling from the cost of living. The city has tried to cope. The lush green lawns, once the pride of residential areas, are now being torn up and replaced with gravel and drought-resistant plants. The fountains sparkling in front of the Grand Casino gradually faded, giving way to cold austerity. But the question remains, are these solutions enough to sustain a city rising from the desert when the very river that feeds it is dying? Some people believe that technology and investment can open up a way out. Desalination and wastewater recycling projects are being mentioned more frequently. Even large corporations like General Electric have introduced industrial-scale water treatment and reuse technology, promising to help water-scarce cities like Las Vegas regain stability. Nevertheless, even these advances require time, resources, and political will, which no one is certain will arrive in time. If the water source, the most fundamental basis of life, is still shaky, what meaning do those neon lights have? Who would dare put their trust and assets into a city that could dry up? And most importantly, can Las Vegas truly survive amidst a desert that is getting hotter and gradually drying up? Las Vegas is known as the city that never sleeps, where the bright neon lights blanket the sky and music flows endlessly along the strip. But the paradox is that just a few blocks away, we'll step into a completely different Vegas, where darkness reigns and unease gradually becomes a daily habit. According to data from the FBI Uniform Crime Reporting 2022, Las Vegas is among the 35% of cities less safe than the US average. The rate of property theft and violent incidents is significantly higher compared to other cities of similar size. Local residents shared stories of cars with broken windows right on the sidewalk, packages taken from doorsteps in a flash, and scuffles that broke out over trivial matters. Fear is no longer limited to casinos or nightclubs, but has crept into residential areas, schools, and even seemingly peaceful parks. The causes of this situation are not simple. Persistent economic inequality, increasing pressure to survive, and a lack of community cohesion create a vicious cycle that is difficult to escape. When a segment of the population feels abandoned and without opportunities to advance, crime becomes a temporary escape, even though they know that path only leads to a dead end. The resulting consequence is a shaking of trust. Young families are starting to worry about the safety of their children. Evenings spent taking children to the park or visiting a shopping mall have become something to consider. The feeling of uncertainty is gradually replacing the peace that was once the foundation of urban life. Insecurity is no longer a personal matter, but a simmering crack throughout the entire social structure. There are visual images that are bound to make one shudder. A police car glides past the homeless encampment set up right under the light of giant billboards, but doesn't stop. That image is a bitter metaphor. Security in Vegas sometimes presents itself as a superficial patrol, failing to address the root of the problem. Nevertheless, there are still efforts to rebuild trust. Several public-private partnership programs have been launched to install new lighting systems, expand surveillance cameras, and enhance community support services. Large corporations like ADT Security have introduced home and business security solutions, incorporating smart monitoring technology, which helps residents feel somewhat protected in an uncertain environment. But the bigger question remains unanswered. Can technology and surface measures truly replace real safety, which can only come from a more just and cohesive society? When fear replaces peace, how many people will still want to call this place home? And if a city builds its image on light, but allows darkness to spread in everyday life, then for whom can that light still illuminate the way? People often say, Vegas doesn't just live off casinos. Its economy is also a gamble. This city grew from roulette tables, from the dazzling lights of casinos, and from the constant influx of tourists. But the paradox lies in this. When everything depends on luck, not only are gamblers prone to losing everything, but the residents here also live with that fear every day. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Las Vegas recorded a record unemployment rate of 34%, the highest in the United States, according to data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, 2020. The entire city was almost brought to its knees within weeks as tourists disappeared. Restaurants, bars, and hotels that once shone brightly throughout the night suddenly fell silent, and hundreds of thousands of workers lost their source of income. It's a harsh reminder that, no matter how glamorous it may seem, an economy that bets too heavily on a single industry is always fragile. Although major companies like Amazon have opened distribution centers in recent years, and Tesla and SpaceX have experimented with partially expanding their supply chains in Nevada, these efforts are still insufficient to compensate for the enormous scale of the tourism and entertainment industry. In reality, most jobs in Vegas still revolve around casinos, hotels, restaurants, and related services. When travel slows down, the entire system falters. The root cause lies in excessive reliance on a single spearhead. For decades, Vegas has been designed to attract visitors with lights, games, and an explosion of entertainment. But an economy lacking diversity is like a gambler putting all their eggs in one basket. When luck turns against them, everything collapses overnight. The consequences are clearly evident in everyday life. People in Vegas live with a sense of insecurity. They have work today, but they could lose it tomorrow. A 45-year-old woman recounted that since losing her waitressing job during the pandemic, she has never been able to find stable employment again. That disruption not only caused many families to lose income, but also eroded their sense of trust in the future. What's more concerning is the ripple effect. When someone loses their job, not only does the family income disappear, but it also leads to instability in housing, healthcare, and children's education. Every thread in the social system is stretched taut, and a single break could spread across multiple layers simultaneously. Some experts believe the only way out is through economic diversification, investing heavily in technology, logistics, renewable energy, and education. Major brands like Google have begun utilizing data infrastructure in Nevada, sparking hope that the city can become less reliant on the casino treadmill. But even with those signals, the question remains open. Are they enough to build a sustainable Vegas, or are they just a new bet in a game where no one is sure of the outcome? Can a city where jobs can disappear as quickly as a deck of cards nurture a future generation? And when even livelihoods become a gamble, can Vegas maintain its status as a city of opportunity, or will it forever remain a giant betting table in the desert? Income tax. A message like a sweet invitation, promising an easier life where the money you earn won't be eroded by state income tax. But as the desert dust settled, the new residents quickly realized a stark truth. The so-called tax haven was just an illusion. Their wallets are still running dry, even faster, due to hidden fees and expenses that few people initially account for. In reality, the cost of living in Las Vegas is gradually becoming a form of hidden tax. Community fees, homeowners insurance, and property taxes can cost many households an extra $500 to $1,000 per month, far exceeding what they had envisioned. A Canadian couple once chose Vegas as their retirement destination, hoping to enjoy the sunshine and pleasant cost of living, but after only 3 years they were forced to return to Vancouver. The reason is that their home insurance premiums doubled in a short period, a burden that the no-income tax policy could not offset. The cause stems from changes in the climate context and environmental risks. In recent years, Nevada has experienced hotter summers, prolonged droughts, interspersed with the risk of flash floods and wildfires. Insurance companies, instead of sharing risk, are pushing up premiums sharply to protect profits. A report by the Insurance Information Institute, 2023, shows that the cost of homeowners insurance in Nevada has increased by an average of 28% over the past 5 years, significantly higher than the national average. For many families, this figure is enough to swallow up their already meager retirement savings. The problem is that the no-income tax policy, while sounding appealing, is only true on the surface. When you add in all the other fees, from infrastructure maintenance and utility charges to property taxes that increase with the value of the property, residents realize that the monthly amount they pay is no different from having to pay taxes in another form.
Many people call this a hidden tax that the government never mentions in its flashy promotions. The consequences are not only financial setbacks for individuals, but also social shifts. Some retirees who once chose Vegas as their final destination are now forced to leave because they can no longer afford the costs. As these residents left the city, the community lost stability, while real estate saw empty homes facing bright, no income tax billboards. It's an image that symbolizes a bitter paradox. The initially appealing promise has become a practical burden. In that picture, the community's faith also gradually wavered. Workers are wondering if they are truly benefiting from not paying taxes as bills and service fees continue to balloon. Retirees are hesitant to withdraw their savings to pay for escalating insurance premiums, and investors are more cautious, fearing that hidden costs will diminish the city's long-term appeal. Some businesses and organizations have begun to explore ways to alleviate the burden.
Financial technology companies like Intuit are developing tools to support expense management and forecast living costs, helping residents create tighter financial plans to avoid being caught off guard by these hidden taxes. But those solutions are only at the individual level and haven't yet changed the overall picture of the entire city. No income tax but accumulating fees. Isn't that just a disguised form of tax? And can a city that lives on financial mirages rather than genuine stability retain its residents in the coming decades? Las Vegas was once illuminated as a symbol of freedom, opportunity, and endless joy. But behind those dazzling neon lights, a stark reality is becoming increasingly clear. Rising living costs, economic instability, resource scarcity, and the hidden traps in every bill have turned the dream into a burden. The residents here are not only paying with money, but also with their safety, trust, and the future of their families. If a city once considered the stage of the American dream has now become a bitter game of chance, where else can we place our trust? And if even those who built Vegas, the workers, teachers, and retirees, can't hold on, how much longer will the lights of Sin City shine? If you've ever witnessed or felt this change, please share your perspective in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue to explore the truths behind the glamorous facade of America today. The content in this video is compiled from various public information sources, reports, and independent research data. Some details may be general, estimated, or used for illustrative purposes to clarify the overall picture. The video is not intended to provide absolute conclusions and does not represent the official views of any organization, individual, or government. Viewers are encouraged to consult additional multifaceted information sources for a more comprehensive understanding